All right, I think that we're live. How we doing, everyone? I'm so glad that you're here. I have a few words to say before we start, and then we'll just get this party started. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this special live episode of DevTips. I know that this broadcast goes out to all the DevTippers across the globe, and I'm sorry if this is a really bad time for you. It's going to be bad for half of you, basically. To those who can make it to this live episode, I'm so grateful for your efforts to rearrange your schedule to make it. So thank you so much for showing up. And to those who are watching this episode recorded, just pretend it's live, play some music, whatever. So the reason I decided to do another live episode is because the DevTips show just hit another milestone. We had the first live episode when we reached 10,000 subscribers, and just last week we rolled past 20. So very, very cool. I can't tell you how excited I am to be a part of this. So I'm astounded, and I'm grateful that each of you have clicked that little button that said subscribe. So you're awesome. You are the reason I do this show. Hey, here we are. What's up, man?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you very well.
Wait a second.
I can hear you very, like a pinch, but not very well. I'm just going to finish this introduction here. I'm going to talk about the show that we're going to be doing. So the show will be in two parts. The first part, I'm going to do a little code demo, and then Yotam here, that just joined the chat, he'll give a second demo and talk about some really cool ideas. And then after we're done presenting, I'm going to open up the video chat for everyone. So the first 10 people that join the Hangout, we'll chill for a little bit and open it up to some Q&A, some question and answers, or whatever else suits our fancy until we close the show. Okay? So let's start. Are you ready to go, Yotam?
Yes, can you hear me now?
I can't hear you very well.
Still, wait.
You know what? Can you do a sound check?
I check on Skype and I hear me very well. Wait a second.
You're good with audio now, but I can't see your face. You don't have any video.
This is important. I can give a camera.
Yeah, if you're going to present, we're going to need to see your video feed there, just so you can show your screen. In the meantime, while he sorts that out, I'm going to present a few ideas that we have. Oh, there you are.
Okay, now.
You got it.
You still can't hear me, or?
I can hear you and I can see you, so that's great.
Okay.
Yep. So when you're ready to present, I'll just need to be able to see your screen, and then we'll do it well. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about something called CSS pseudo elements, and let me show you my screen with everyone. Here. Okay. All right. Now I'll just make it bigger. I'll zoom it in here. Okay, so we're going to be talking about pseudo elements just for a few minutes, and then Yotam will what's it called? Talk about his topic. Present. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so pseudo elements. Pseudo elements are this is a really great definition of pseudo elements. They're just like pseudo classes. You may have used like :hover before on a link, and that would select whatever happens during an action, but a pseudo element actually adds elements inside the DOM. MDN, or Mozilla Developer Network, describes it like this. Just like pseudo classes, pseudo elements are added to selectors, but instead of describing a state, like hover, they allow you to style certain parts of a document. And there are a few different types of pseudo elements. You can do first letter, or first line, or last line, but right now we're going to talk about the before and the after pseudo elements. Okay, so in my example here, I'm going to start a new example. And H2, this is going to be called, this next example is going to be called the content. We're going to be looking at what is content used for. Okay, so if I have a paragraph here, and I'll put the class of paragraph content on it, content, so that we can call it in our CSS. So this paragraph here, I'll just put some simple lorem in here. No, actually, I just want to put one word. I have the word hello in this content box, and I want to grab, I'll say content, and I want to say after. And now that I've made that pseudo selector, this part right here will select something that you don't see yet, and it will actually create it, kind of. So the first thing I have to do is write content. This is the property, and then the value can be whatever you want, and it's inside of this quotations. So I'll write goodbye, and then you'll see that it just shows up right after hello. And when you inspect it in the inspector, you can see that it's actually inside of the paragraph along with hello, and the Chrome developer tools will identify it with this, using this kind of thing in the DOM, so you can see what we're talking about. And it has its own DOM element. I mean, it has its own, like, properties. So you can give it like, let's say, color red. And you can make that, you can style it apart from the rest of the paragraph that it's in. So you can literally inject elements into the DOM using CSS. Let me do another one. Content before content, and then you can write yo, and then I put a space in there, and then that literal space will show up right here between the two of these guys, or at least it should. And then we'll color it orange. So this is the essence of a before and after pseudo element, not a pseudo selector. The pseudo selector is what we're doing in CSS. The pseudo element is what's happening in the DOM, the actual element. And you know what's interesting? You're noticing that you can't select it. When I try to select goodbye here, just hello will select with the text selection. Okay, what do I want to show next about this? Yes, okay. The next part of this example, I'm going to show you how to use it with icons. Okay, so let's say we have that paragraph, and inside the paragraph we want to have the last sentence, like maybe it's like the description here, and we'll say anchor tag download the PDF. And then the href is going to be downloads / readme.pdf. Then when I go, so I can, let's see here. I can say the selector in my CSS will be anchor, and then all of those anchors that have href that contain a string equal to .pdf. Oops. .pdf. Now, the style that I can put here is content. Actually, what I wanted to do also, I set up this earlier. I set this up that we can use Font Awesome. So I'm going to put the class of FA on this this anchor, although it's not necessary to use the pseudo element. Get rid of this. now if I take this ref of PDF, see what this does right here. This selector is saying, look at all of the anchors that have an href that contains the string of .pdf. So let me just show you color red. See how all of the other anchors here, like this link right here, is orange. I changed this one red because it contains the href of the string .pdf. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to say after that. Now it has the FA. I'm going to say content equal to. Now this is a string that will call the specific icon from Font Awesome. It's F1C1. And that's not rendering the correct way. Oh, there it is. Okay. You see that little icon there? It's a PDF icon. And I'll just put padding left 10 pixels here. So now what would happen is every PDF link that you put in the content of this website will have the little cute icon to the right of it. And this is using Font Awesomer as the as like the method of doing that. Let me comment this out, and I'll show you how to use this with just a where's the asterisk? Okay. I just commented that out, and now I'll do the same thing using a literal ping, an image. So the content in this case, let's do a Google search for a PDF ping. This one's super huge. View, let's go to the visit page, see if there's a smaller one. Okay, there's no smaller ones. I'm going to copy the image URL, and then inside of my code, I'm going to say content equals URL, and then paste the link, and then all right, so this is a huge image, and so it's kind of like not looking great, but you would choose the right one, and just to do a quick little fix here, we'll say size, 20 pixels. I should shrink it up a little bit. Oh, and I'll say display inline block. Is that working? Well, I wasn't planning on using this huge image, so that kind of broke my example, but the idea is still valid, that you can inject images here, you can inject icons there, you can inject text strings. I will put the comment on this one. Okay. There you go. So the next one I want to do is talk about how to make another example here. Example H2 boxes. I want to talk about how you can take these pseudo elements and turn them into like little, basically, like boxes that act like divs and things like that. So in my example, I'll have a class of box, and then I'll say box. So we can see it. We'll say size 150 pixels, background pink. So this is our box that we just made. Now we're going to say box and after. Now, even if you're not going to inject text or images, you still need to have the content property there, and you just leave it blank if you just want to create another box. And then we'll say display block, and size. Now this size mixin that I'm using is from Bourbon, and you can use it like this. You'd say 20 pixels and then space 50 pixels. And this is like an easy way to say height and width. It just outputs height and width. And then background. Okay, there it is. That's our pseudo element right there, that red bit. Let's make it bigger. Let's say 50-50. If in this mixin, if you just do one property, it does both height and width as that one value. Background red, and then you can do things. I mean, you can just treat it like it's a block element. So I'll say position absolute. Top will be like 20%. Null for the left, null for the right, and negative 30 pixels for the left. And then actually, because it's an absolute position, I need to make this one. See how it just jumped off the screen? It's actually up here because its earliest parent is not defined position. So I'll make this one relative. Now it should jump back. Come on, buddy. There it is. Okay. CodeKit just needed to render it. Okay, now inside of these, like see how I have a background red? You can actually put background images in there too. I'll use Phil Murray, good old Phil Murray, handsome devil. And I'll say URL. Then here's the string for Phil Murray. And I'll say background size is cover. Squeeze it in there. Good old Phil Murray. All right. And then for the last example, I want to show you just how to do some interesting ideas of using before and afters to make some interesting styles. So here's an example again. And I'll call this one H2 buttons. And then I'll make a class of button. And then I'll write by me in the class. But me, by me. Okay. So now here we have a text string right here that we can rename to a button. So here's my class, button. And we'll do some quick button-y kind of styles on there. We'll say background is going to be like light blue, not hyphen. Display line block. And oh, I spelled light wrong. Okay, light blue is not a color. Apparently, I thought it was. Orange. Oh, I spelled background wrong. There we go. All right, now I have an orange button. Need some more padding here. Okay, let's say border radius of 5 pixels and color white. Cool, looks like a good button, right? So what we want to do is make an interesting, we want to use the pseudo elements to make an interesting style. I'm just putting position relative on this button so that I can use it as the base for styling the thing that I'm going to do right now. I'm going to make a cute little shadow under the button. And let's say after, and then content is empty content, and we'll say display block size is going to be, width is going to be about 80% of its parent, and the height is going to be like 4 pixels. And I'll say background is going to be RGBA. It's going to be a shadow, remember, so we'll use black, and then like 0.3 for the fill. There we are. So it's 50%, it's 80% of its parent, and it's dark. That's what this little line is there. So we'll now position it outside of its parent. Absolutely positioned, top 100%, so it'll go straight to the bottom, and then left null, bottom null, and sorry, right null, bottom null, left 50%, and then we want to use the transform. This is the way that we learned in the last time I used CodeKit. We learned this. I learned this awesome thing, and I shared it with you guys. So the way to center this would be to put it absolutely positioned 50%, and then transform translate x, capital X, negative 50%, and it goes in the center. All right, now I'll put some margin on the top to move it away from the parent a little bit, about maybe 5 pixels. Yeah, and then I'll do a border radius 50% to make it kind of a an ellipse, a little shadow, and then I'll do a box shadow on this and say it's 0% or 0 pixels offset from the top, 0 pixels offset from the left, about a 5 pixel blur, and the color will be RGBA 0.3% black. So it's got like a more of a shadow there. Maybe this should be like 5. There you go. There you go. So this looks like a button with like a little like floating button with like a little shadow under it, right? And we'll say 10 pixels to move that shadow up further. That's kind of fun, and you could animate that when you hover over it to like jump up and make the shadow get smaller or something like that. But anyway, so here's 4 interesting uses of the after and before pseudo elements. This is the this is the presentation for now. Thank you so much, and I'm stopping the screen shares. Did I just stop the broadcast? No, we're still here. All right. Thank you so much for watching that. Yodam, you're up, man.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about TypeScript. You already said it, or I missed? I wasn't here for the first couple of minutes. Did you explain them what it is?
I didn't tell them what you're talking about, but since then I've lost your video. I just see your thumbnail now again.
Oh yeah, now I will share the screen instead of the camera.
Okay, I'm just going to turn it all over to you. Go ahead, present from the beginning.
One second.
Mm-hmm. I'll just dance in the corner here.
You can see my screen now?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Okay, so right now this is a little example of TypeScript. It's a preprocessor. I think that's how how I said that. Like SAS to CSS, this is TypeScript to JavaScript. It compiled this code to JavaScript.
What's the name of the preprocessor?
TypeScript.
TypeScript?
Yes, it's a Microsoft project.
Okay.
The main problem with TypeScript that because that it's not for everyone, it's that you need an IDE with Sublime or Atom. it's just not gonna help you because I got some error. It showed me the errors. This is one of the main problem with JavaScript. And for example, if I miss something, it should show me the error right in the corner. So you need the IDE, for example, Visual Studio, or what I'm using right now. This is a PHP Storm. So let me show you some features of TypeScript. Here I got a module. This is like a namespace. Now you can call the example, and here you can export and or set a private variable functions, and it's pretty nice to libraries if you want better to see the code better. If you can see now that this is compiled to a variable of example, and there I export the print function, but the text is still private. So another big problem with JavaScript is that you don't get a type for variables, and because of that, TypeScript added a simple variables type. We got string, a number, we got any if you still want to use the variable for anything. And of course, you need to set an array if you want to use that. This is an optional and not something you have to do. Also, if you can see, I got a class, something that coming in ECMAScript 6, but already is missing because browsers like Internet Explorer still cannot use that. Actually, every browser cannot do that. And this is a class that compiled to a regular class like this. It's a variable like you do the old way, and this is the constructor is the function itself. So let me show you a little example. Let's say I want to create a class of person. So I got a constructor like every other language, and there I can do whatever I want. If I do the string or if I not, it still be the same. Wait a second. Oh wait. So here I can create like normal JavaScript the class. It's compiled to really readable JavaScript. So if you decide you don't want the TypeScript and you want to go back to JavaScript, it's not gonna be a problem. Here I can say new person. Oh, I forgot to pass a string. So you see right now that I was missing a string and it didn't tell me anything. But here in the TypeScript itself, if I'm going to say new person, it's gonna show me an error that pop out and tell me I missed something. I can say I don't want the string to be all the time with a question mark, and now it's an optional. So I have to do if else. So I got a little project built with that. Wait, no. This project use TypeScript, but not all its feature. And one problem with TypeScript is that you have to declare every function and every class, and not every library support that. For example, jQuery, I loaded jQuery.d.ts. This is definition for the jQuery. You see it's a lot of code, so not every library use it. It's a little hard to find the library that do support. But for example, for this library, I created it myself. It's not a big problem. This is 100 lines of code. Took me few minutes. I don't know how much exactly, but AngularJS and jQuery and lots of other big libraries support it, so don't worry. Maybe I will show some example. You have an idea?
Do I have an idea what to show?
Can.
Oh
Yes.
no, I'm not really. I'm just listening and trying to get an introduction right here.
I show the language, but I don't know what exactly to show key because JavaScript project is big and I can't not create one so short.
Oh, of course,
But,
yeah.
let me think.
We could open it up for questions about TypeScript, and you could just answer those questions if you like.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. How do I do the questions again? Does anyone have any questions about TypeScript? Just real quick. There's a lot of questions in here generally. I don't see any about TypeScript specific. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll open up the chat to everybody, and then we'll ask some verbal questions, and we'll just talk about what TypeScript is. So let me invite the public. Sharing this video. Oops, try again. Okay. I'm trying to invite people, but it says, oops, try again. All right, here's what I'll do. I'm going to go to Twitter, and under DevTips account, I'm just going to post a link to the chat. And everybody who just go to at DevTips Show Twitter account, and I think if you click on this link, you can join the chat. The invitation system on Google Plus is giving me an error for some reason. Oh, the invitation. Okay, so maybe it was that I was inviting public. So I also sent invitations to everybody who is in the DevTips live circle. Basically, everybody who reserved a spot or clicked the button that said that they were going to be watching the show. I sent you an invitation. So I'm not exactly sure. Yoram, how does the invitations work? Do you find it on your Google Plus page?
Yeah, you go to your page and see join the Hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the page. I didn't see any notification.
Oh, you just joined it just said join the Hangout.
Yes, I see the button in your account.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, we're still looking at your screen. Can't see your beautiful face. There we are. Here's a question about TypeScript. Abhi says, what TypeScript really is? Oh, hey, there's Los. And he's gone. He was there.
What does it mean, really? Yeah, go to your page and see join the Hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the page. I didn't see
Oh,
any
hey, if you guys are listening to the old broadcast and you're joining the new one, you need to click off the old one, I guess, because we're getting a delayed loop. Okay, cool. Well, we're still looking. That sounds good. Okay. Wow, everybody's joining. Everybody got the whatever thing. This is great. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Phantom, do you have a video camera thing? A webcam?
No, sorry, I don't have a webcam.
Okay, you're just your creepy avatar. It's like the avatar of death. Okay, should we do some introductions? How's everybody this morning, or afternoon, or evening, or wherever you are?
It's evening here.
Where are you at, Phantom?
Hello, man. What?
In Holland, of yeah, the Netherlands.
Who's in the Netherlands?
I am.
Oh, who's that?
You guys...
The Phantom.
Oh, the Phantom. Okay, who said they were in Holland?
I am.
Sorry. I thought two people were speaking at the same time. Abhi's here again. What's up, buddy?
Nothing, man. It's out. I'm trying to join this thing.
Yeah, you did a good job. You made it. Cool.
Yeah.
Andreas, how are you doing?
Hello, man.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. What
Where
about
are you
you?
joining us from?
I'm doing this from Denmark, so
Classic Denmark. Welcome. Los,
Thanks.
where are you, man?
I'm in San Jose.
San Jose? Oh, are you at the office?
Yeah, I'm at the office.
Cool. And Eric, it's good to see you again, brother. How are you? I can't hear you.
No one-on-ones this time.
great. I'm doing great.
Oh, good. Excellent. And Catherine, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. We've never met officially. A few of these other people have been in and out before, but where are you from, Catherine?
I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Nice. Very
Down
cool.
south.
Great to meet you. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Phantom, hello again. Thiago, are you here, buddy? Hello? Do you have a sound? Okay. And Yotam is here. How is everybody? Cool. So I figured that we'd just kind of like open it up to some questions. We have some questions on the right if you open the Q&A app on the chat. And then if you guys have any questions about DevTips, what we're doing this year or what's going on lately, or comments about what we've done in the past, or if you guys have any questions or comments about what we do in general, we can just open that up. So does anybody want to shoot first, or should we ask a question here on the right?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Sweet. Well, I was going to say I'm from Chattanooga.
Right.
I'm so behind.
Yes, and we remember you from the one-on-one from after the show last time.
That's right. Yeah.
So you were saying that you were going to starting a Spanish channel. Is that right?
Yeah, I am.
How's that going?
I got like 3 videos recorded and building a website too to post the videos to.
Okay, so
I'm working on that currently. Huh?
You haven't published them yet? They're just kind of in the queue?
Yeah, I haven't.
That's great, man. That's great.
Good to see you again. I didn't know I was going to be live on this thing.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm actually working. I just want to watch it, so I might step down and let somebody else join in.
Okay, that's fine. That's your choice, then. That's cool.
Peace, guys. Take care.
All right. We have a question from Andreas, and he says, "Are you 100% CodePen now?" This was asked during when I was doing the CodePen example. I've been toying around with CodePen. I think that they have some really interesting features, especially for doing examples and then letting you guys, use the code. It's a little bit more accessible than GitHub is, but there are a few annoyances. For example, the auto refresh always reloads my page up, and I always have to scroll down if I'm doing like the one I was doing live here. So if I'm recording CodePen, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little difficult. And then I don't know, but there's some presentation modes and stuff that's really cool about it. So I'm considering getting a CodePen Pro account, and I think that might be nice. But maybe for bigger projects, I'll still use GitHub too, so you guys can download the whole repo and go through the process of hosting it on your own. Hey Finley, what's up, man? How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Super. Where are you from, buddy?
I'm from the Netherlands also.
Oh, right. See, I knew there was another one of you guys. All right. Abhi, you asked, can you give a short tutorial on radial gradients and how they work?
Yeah.
Not right now, I guess, because we're in the question answer. I'm just reading these questions without like knowing what they are before, so I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have asked that. But that would be a good video, actually. Absolutely, that would be a really good one. Will you start doing some jQuery or JavaScript tutorials? Yes, I do have on the roadmap for this year to do a JavaScript and jQuery basics series, similar to the HTML and CSS series that I started the channel with. So I've been looking forward to doing those, although jQuery and JavaScript are, out of the three, probably my weakest point. So I expect a lot of you guys to give me corrections as I'm going through that series or what have you, but it should be a great learning experience for me as well. Any comments or questions from everybody in the live chat right now?
Well, I did this. The pseudo selector for the inputs you did a video on the command was channel, the PHP Academy,
Yes.
and I had some discussion about that in the comments I put there. And if there are any questions, I'm willing to answer them.
Do you want to run through what you did? Because it was really, really cool.
Well, basically, I copied your code pen and I started Googling because I was pretty sure there would be a way with CSS to check if there was if a input has input in it, a value.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out on CSS tricks, I believe, and they said use this valid pseudo selector, and that's what I did. I basically put that in the sass and removed the JavaScript, and it's mostly worked. The only quirk was that the email pseudo, the selector doesn't quite work when your input is of the type email, because when you have any input that is not a valid email construction, it isn't a valid input, so the label doesn't move up.
So it will wait until you have an @ symbol and a dot extension before it'll move the label because it's an email input. Is that right?
Yeah, the dot is not really required, but the @ symbol is.
Oh, okay, cool. That's interesting. Do you think it's worth it to just put a text field in there and, like, you know, because all of the @ symbol, or sorry, all of the type email will really give you is on mobile phones. It'll change the keyboard up a little bit if I understand it correctly.
Yes, and browsers like Chrome on PC, it will check if it is actually a valid email, but for safety reasons, you always check your input in PHP or Ruby, whatever server-side script you're using, so it doesn't really matter. I just don't use the type email, just type text, and validate my input in the server-side script.
Great, okay, cool. Thanks for explaining that. That was really cool. When I saw that, I was like, I love it when people take like the weird examples that I make and just totally improve them. That's really awesome for me to see. 'Cause it's super helpful for me, you know. All right, anybody else want to say anything?
You're looking very funny.
What's that?
You're looking very funny. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I'm saying you're looking very funny.
I'm looking very funny. I decided to dress up today. I wasn't sure what to wear to the DevTips live party. I don't know.
You got style.
This is actually the tuxedo I got married in.
Really?
It is, yes.
Mr. Fancy Pants.
I didn't have the glasses when I got married, though.
That was pretty funny. Those glasses are killer.
These glasses are actually like, you know, like the free ones you get like at a convention. They have like the logo of whatever brand. I scraped it off because I'm like, I want some red glasses. These are cool.
Yeah.
Red Ray-Bans.
Yeah. Did you guys like the pseudo elements demo in the beginning? Did you guys catch that?
No, I missed it.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I recorded it for you.
yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I'll be going back and watching that.
Excellent. Okay, here's a question. Is it good to have high specificity or low specificity in your style sheets? Greetings from Venezuela. That's from Pedro. What do you guys think? High or low specificity in your style sheets?
What exactly do they mean with specificity?
Specificity is the basically how specific is your selector in selecting the DOM element. So, for example, if you have a class of hello and then it's an anchor, but it's inside of a paragraph, do you say p space class hello, or do you say class hello? P space class hello is going to be a little bit more specific.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
generally, the question is, would you use a lot of nesting to get if you're using Sass, would you use a lot of nesting to get really specific in your selectors, or is it a better idea to be as broad and kind of low level specificity as possible? What are you guys' opinions on this?
Well, it's just my idea, but I use very specific selectors for stuff I usually don't want to reuse. The styling I don't want to reuse anywhere else on the page. But if I have a certain styling that will be more common on the page, I'll simply use a more less specific selector. That's just me.
I didn't use specificity selectors before, but I started using it when I started working with Sass, and now I am using it, and I love it way more because it gives you way more. It makes cleaner code. It looks neat. It looks more neat.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I like to nest them a lot, but that's me. I don't know.
You like to
how
nest
other
a
people
lot?
think about that.
When I code, I try to write specific code as least as possible,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can, with a class, I can just use that several times, and then not have to repeat my code over and over for different divs and whatever. So I actually try to be as least specific as possible to make my code more reusable. And I think if you're using also like a CSS framework, you want to find one that is least specific as possible so that you can more easily modify it. So that's my how I see it, at least. I don't know.
Absolutely. Any other opinions on the topic?
Well, I cannot find the word for it. Well, never mind. I think you have to find your personal preference in how specific you want to be in your selectors. I can't really tell you because do this or do that. You have to find for yourself what you find. What you want to use.
Okay, great. So I have a video that I did in the CSS Basics series, like really early on, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video after we're done recording it. But it'll be more clear about what specificity is. It is a problem that some people run into, and they don't understand how one selector can be more important or more specific than others. And understanding that can really open up your eyes to what's possible with CSS. Now, you mentioned frameworks. That's actually a really important aspect of this whole question, because when you're writing styles, you want to make sure that if later on you want to change them or like, make variations of that same style, you want to overwrite them with more specific styles. So if you've used incredibly specific styles up front, it's going to be hard to later on overwrite them with more specific styles. So the general wisdom is use as non-specific selectors as possible every time, because later on there's going to be an opportunity for you to be more specific. And what I find myself doing is, I'm like focused on this little button right here, and so I'll style it, and I'll be like as specific as I need to at that moment. And then when I'm kind of done with this idea, this little kind of nugget, I will try to zoom out and say, okay, where else does this need to go on my page or in my website? and try to unspecify everything, right? Like I'll try to like back everything out and kind of clean it up and optimize the code to be more modular, so that this button can show up on the inside page, it can show up on a landing page, wherever, as long as I use a very an appropriate class name or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I do it.
Perfect. And the just a word about specificity. I never ever use ID selectors. ID selectors are far too specific, and they'll throw everything out the door.
Yeah, I mostly think IDs, you can use them in CSS, definitely, but I simply use them for JavaScript, mostly jQuery.
They're very common in JavaScript because of the hash is really interesting way of doing, you know, the way that the hash uses URLs and stuff like that, so you're using name properties to skip down a page and things like that. But you do see that a lot in JavaScript. Also, a more common JavaScript, like get element by ID, is a lot more common than get element by class name for some reason. I'm not sure why. Here's a question again. If I want to be a web designer, what is the most sure and profitable method of learning? Studying at an internet technologies college, an IT college, or maybe at home? Is information around the internet in books reliable and arranged? And what are the best sources for beginners? Okay, so I'll summarize that question, make it a little bite-sized. What is the best way to start the path of becoming a professional web designer?
Go to YouTube/DevTips.
Hey! Yes! All right. Well, I'm assuming that because this question is on the channel, that he's done that. What do you guys think? Did you guys go to school? Do you prefer what is it called, like the structured learning of getting a degree in web design, or do you think that it's sufficient to learn this stuff on your own, being self-taught?
Yeah, I'm going first again, but I actually do both in a way. I am on schools for IT. Programming specifically, not necessarily web design, but I like it very much. So in my free time, I also do a lot of research and trial and error to find further development for my knowledge base.
Yeah, I think you're touching on an important part, that even if you do decide to go to school, the habit, the skill of self-learning is going to be more important than anything, and that's if you're studying on your own, or even if you're studying in college. You can't rely on other people to give you knowledge. Even if you're paying for it, you have to go out and search it and supplement that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I started on my teaching myself over the internet and learning HTML and CSS, and that's great, but you tend to get really comfortable in what you know, and you don't tend to push outside of those bounds. So I was stuck for 15 years with just plain old HTML and CSS, and I really couldn't get outside of that box. And I went to a code school last year that pushed me into frameworks and jQuery and JavaScript a little bit, as much as I could handle. Got into Bootstrap and Grunt and Git. Some of these things that I knew was out there, but kind of was afraid and didn't know where to begin, how to start. So I do believe a supplemental, formal type of education in a classroom definitely pushes you into those uncomfortable places that will then spark you to want to go find the information.
What a great perspective. Thanks for sharing.
I completely agree on that. When I was in the first year, I had an upperclassman who was really good at coding, and namely PHP. And at that time, we had classes in PHP, so I was kind of interested. Sounds a little bit arrogant, but I was kind of good. And then that guy showed me the stuff. He made his own PHP framework, so I got really inspired and learned a lot more from him than from the teachers in the class. So I think going to classes is not only you get you get stuff taught at school, but it's also the people around you who teach you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good
And
point. We also have a comment here from Robin. Oh, geez. There's a guy out here mowing my lawn or something. I'm gonna mute myself. Oh, he just stopped. Okay, there's a comment here from Robin Bosman who says his advice on the topic is, Robin's advice is to start at college because you can have a personal contact with a pro. You can get a diploma, which is really help you. That just moved. Get a job, but you still need to study at home a lot. So basically, diversifying the approach, right there. I really like the idea of having someone. What Catherine was saying of having someone be there to guide you and kind of forcibly push you, if needed, into uncomfortable zones where the growth can happen. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't afford to go to a university or something, I think finding a mentor might be able to might be maybe a cheaper route than that. But you know, there's a lot that goes into having a relationship with a mentor and treating that relationship correct. What is mentors? Carlos, do you have something to say? Hold that sign up again. I made your screen the primary one.
There you go. Can you read it the right way?
Mentor and self-learning. That's his vote. Carlos is really big on self-learning. Carlos and I, if you guys don't know, this is my podcast companion here. And we have a podcast in one of the first, I think, was it the first 2 episodes we did, correct?
Yeah, self-learning.
Yeah, they were about self-learning. So this is a great topic, very close to Carlos and my heart, and I'm really glad that you guys are all into it too. I think that self-learning is going to be as I said before, like the critical skill that you're going to have throughout your entire career, because even if you do go to a formal education, that's going to end at one point. You know, you're going to do your 4 years or your 2 years or your 6 months. And then you're going to be, again, on your own, and it's going to be that habit, that position, that posture of self-learning that's going to carry you on afterwards. But I really, again, want to underline what Catherine was saying about having somebody to kind of push you in the right direction. That's going to be really, really important.
You can always use Stack Overflow.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, right? How are you doing, Ricardo?
Stack Overflow is my savior.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to take a goal. Maybe you have an idea of a project and realize that project. Maybe, I don't know, make your personal portfolio site, and with that experience, you will become better and better.
That's a really good point. I read an article somewhere, where was it? But it was a blog post, and this guy was talking about his kind of jump from one career vertical into programming, and he explained that like he would like learn a new technology and learn about a new editor and learn about a new thing and just jump all around like a schizophrenic person. And then when he finally kind of got into his groove and started seeing actual growth, that's when he learned to focus. And I think that's what you were kind of talking about, Ricardo, of like choosing a project and seeing that through is going to give you greater gains than starting a whole bunch of other, you know, random things and never putting them together in a cohesive
Yes. Because I think that when you are just jumping into that path of career, which is web design or web development, you have to take, I don't know, first HTML, then CSS, and then also JavaScript. But when you're taking, when you're learning HTML, CSS, it's good to focus on that first, and then take your time to knowing or get in touch with Sublime Text, a good text editor. But the first goal is, I love that thing, or CSS or HTML. Wow, it's fantastic. Jump start and start coding. Set your focus, set your goal, and I don't know.
No, you got it, man. That's right. Awesome. We have some more.
Also, talking of my personal experience, it's also great to have a really good mentor, because I study in Italy at the university, and I get in touch with a PhD student that I look at him as my mentor, and whenever I have a problem with I don't know, something, I send him a mail, and he came back to me with an answer, and it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Cool.
We have some more comments here about the topic as well. Here's from Eric. Eric Ellenbrook says, meetup.com is also a great resource to find like-minded people who can help you push yourself further if you don't have the means to get to a code school.
I think Google Plus is good at coding and stuff. You can join a community, and that'll help you like grow up and like learn all the new stuff.
Yeah, you're really big in, what's your community called that you're involved with?
Web developers, designers, and I don't know, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for introducing my content to your community. That was a really big help for raising awareness for DevTips, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That community is huge.
Yeah, they're really awesome. Like, what was the video? It was the inspiration video, like what inspires you video, and the comment string that you got, that your community just kind of took to, was really, really good. It was really inspirational. So I'm really grateful that you shared that with them.
Yeah,
we have another comment about the question about learning and becoming stepping into professionalism from Thiago. He says, what has really helped me is networking, getting involved with your community, start a workshop to help locals. When you make connections, mentors will find you. That's my experience. I like that. That's a good one.
I went to college, and it was a mixture of print and web design, the major there. And when I graduated, I noticed my teachers had graduated obviously a bit before me, so they weren't as up to date on certain things. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot with them. I got started, and then, but afterwards, I signed up for Team Treehouse. I don't know if anybody's heard of Team Treehouse. And with that, I learned probably 20-fold at the pace that I was learning in school, because I could just eat it up at my own pace, you know. So there's definitely cheaper alternatives out there that you could actually learn a lot, depending on what school you have available to you. So if your local college will not have a program that you think is up to date, you know, just jump online. Like, don't be limited by what's around you necessarily. There's a lot of resources out there.
The best.
What's that?
They're like, Notepad is the best editor.
Notepad is the best editor? Are you answering a question? Is that what that is?
No, the local colleges, like, they don't have it. They're like, Notepad.
Oh, I see. They'll recommend Notepad, which is like,
yeah.
Cool.
Not that much. Not that bad.
We're gonna wrap it up soon. Does anybody want to pick a question over here in the column, or you have to click the Q&A button on the right, but it shows up on the, maybe it's backwards because the cameras. But does anybody want to pick a question that speaks to them and they want to answer before we wrap it up? Is that a no?
I think.
Someone's got a less than SAS question.
Go ahead, take it.
I mean, I don't know the answer, so it's probably for you.
Yeah, well, say the question, we'll open it up.
What am I losing out if I choose less over SAS? Do you know the difference yourself? I don't know. I just was interested by that.
I don't think you're missing out on much. So the difference between less and SAS is mostly that less, if I'm not mistaken, it is like JavaScript-based compiling, and SAS is Ruby-based compiling, right? Is that? Am I correct in saying this?
You can use SAS with Node.js or C. There are
SAS with Node? I didn't know that.
It's called Node SAS.
Clever. Okay, so but the difference in the syntax Los had a question, am I wearing pants? The answer will not be revealed. The difference in the syntax between Sass and less, I used less initially to introduce myself to pre-processing a few years ago, and when I jumped to Sass, I was like, oh, okay, this makes a little bit more sense to me. Everything I found, this is my personal opinion, but it seemed that everything was like, the syntax was a little bit more structured, where less was trying to be a little bit clever, like you could take a class, like how you write a class like .hello, and you could put that class into the properties of another class, and that would be like an extension in Sass, and it was like I don't understand why, and like how does that kind of, what happens to the first class? It was a little bit more confusing to me, and I felt that Sass was a little bit more specific in what it was trying to accomplish. And then finally, when I switched to indented flavor of Sass, what?
So clean.
So less doesn't have the indented flavor, unfortunately. So if you do want this indented, lose the brackets kind of posture when you're coding, you can use Stylus or Sass.
Hey Travis, I'd like to help out on the question about editors other than Sublime.
Take it.
I've worked with GitHub's Atom, which is it's up there in the comparable to Sublime. I've also used brackets. It kind of depends on what project I'm working on. I know brackets has its own live in the browser reload, which works really well. And I use brackets a lot because Adobe's Photoshop has its built-in extract feature where you can extract a PDF and pull in the CSS at the same time, click on items in the PDF, and be able to just pop in the CSS code immediately, which is pretty awesome. I've tinkered with it a little bit, but not mastered that process. But for me, Sublime, I started with Sublime Text 2. There's some features that Sublime Text 3 has. It has image preview in Sublime Text 3, which 2 does not. And it's kind of hit or miss when it comes to the plugin you want in Sublime. Sometimes it works for just 2 or just 3, and sometimes it works for both. Atom also has a very big community of plugins as well. And then it's integrated with Git itself, because GitHub and Git produced that product, which is Atom. So they're all very strong in the top 3 or 4 that I would choose. Pick one and stick with it, and then master it.
I think that's the key right there at the end. So it doesn't really matter what you use. It's going to be just how comfortable you are with it in the end. If you're looking for opinions, there's going to be a lot of them, and that's great. That's going to help you a lot.
Yeah.
But in the end, what you're comfortable with is going to be the best for you, and pushing that on other people can get a little contentious sometimes.
Yes, exactly. When I was in the first year, the teachers of my school said, well, basically use Notepad++, sorry, and I used it. I pretty much started to dislike it, and I started to look around for myself, and I used Sublime for a while, but now I'm basically set on PHP Storm, mostly because when I use localhost servers with Xdebug, I can debug PHP in my in PHP Storm, and it's a big help when you can use breakpoints in your code.
Yes. Thiago in the comments also recommends PHP Storm. He says you really, all caps, have to give it a go. It's I've used every single one in my quest for perfection. From Thiago. I was using Coda the other day on a project, and then it crashed. I thought I should try something else now. So I like using all the different ones. I don't think any one of them is the best. I like the differences between them. So I'm going to try something new soon. So in my next few videos, you'll be seeing me trying something new. I think I'm going to try brackets. Everybody in the comments is like, Travis, you got to try brackets. You don't try brackets. You don't know, you're missing out.
Brackets is cool.
Do you have any reason why you use
Right.
text editor and not IDE? For example, Visual Studio, PHP Storm?
Yes. Wait, what's the question?
Why do you use text editor and not IDE?
Oh, I'm not sure.
You don't really need an IDE for web development, like not the normal, like maybe not for MVCs. You
Yeah.
need like an IDE for MVC, .NET, .JSP, and that kind of stuff, but not for like normal HTML, CSS, and JavaScript side, or not for WordPress kind of things. That simple. My friend is like, I want an IDE. I'm like, you don't need an IDE for web development.
Yeah, and I find that when I'm using all these different kinds of things, like Sass and Jade and like different kind of like things that all like the handy little tricks that the editors will give you kind of fly out the window anyway, like the live refreshing and the you know, like you can see the brackets does this thing where you can drop down the CSS, you can see the CSS right in the HTML. That kind of like doesn't work with Sass and everything anyway. So
Yeah.
which is cool if you're using straight CSS. But I stopped doing that like a few years ago.
But
I
Right.
still do that. But
if you're starting
basically
out,
because... Oh. Go ahead.
But if you're like a beginner, I think vanilla CSS is like the best way to do, like just to start up things, because you have to learn all the stuff. Basically, like you have to learn all the base first, then you can go ahead and use any framework or something like that. But first of all, you have to take all your basics down, then you can go ahead.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
All right, the last question that we're going to do before we button this up is from. I'm sorry if I mess up your name, Mohid. Does anyone? Okay, sorry. And he says, "What do you think about the web development in 2020? What will those trends be like?" So right now we're in the beginning of 2015. He wants to know about 2020. What do you guys project?
Smooth transitions and animations on everything.
That'll never happen.
Supported by Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Project Spartan, the new Internet Explorer.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
modern.
heard whispers about that. I haven't like watched the videos or anything yet on it.
Huh.
Internet Explorer is modern in 2020.
Isn't that when the actual release of like CSS3 is happening or something? This or HTML5, I can't remember which one. Like,
I'm not sure.
It's not officially released until then or something, and
As far as I'm aware, CSS3 is already released. Only major browsers simply don't have the complete support in it. Yeah, you need the defenders selectors like that. But I also read today there are already CSS4 selectors being developed. So, and they are pretty cool.
Yeah, I did see an article about that. That was interesting. One of them was called Has. Did you see that?
No, but I have this site from Mozilla that has a big list of all those selectors, and it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
cool.
Cool. All right, we are gonna close down. I am so excited. Thanks you guys for making this show a success. I was so nervous I couldn't sleep last night. I was like I was tossing and turning like, what do I say? It's live. I don't know. I can't even edit it. So anyway, thank you guys for making this like really enjoyable for me and less stressful. Last time I was like sweating bullets. This was a lot. I feel a lot better than last time on this episode. Maybe it's the tuxedo.
I can promise you this much: you are not the only one who is nervous. I was not aware I was participating in a live episode.
Is that right? You didn't realize it would be.
I just clicked on the link.
But now I've done it. I am okay with it. It's pretty cool.
Now you guys will have to start your own YouTube channels. That's how it works now.
That's a far way off.
Lots is having all these party faces over there.
Now.
What was that, Finley? I can't hear you very well.
I saw on my YouTube feed there were the live stream, so if I didn't saw that after all, I didn't know it. So, and I saw you like, oh, there's a live stream. Let's watch. And then I didn't know I was going to join at all.
Is that right?
Yeah,
This, I tell you what, this Google Plus thing is like the weirdest thing ever. Some people can never join. They're like, "How do I join?" And I'm like, "I don't know. There's a link, right? I don't know. I sent you an invite. I don't know what that means."
Yeah.
And then you guys are like, "Oh, I just accidentally joined." Like,
it's
the first link you
I
posted
think
on
next time you should tweet it like you
Magazine
do today.
that, and I was like, oh, what is happening right now? I don't know what
well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
When
if
you said
I,
when
coerced
you
to
said you
join
were
like that.
about to post a link, and I was like, oh yes, let's click on that. Maybe it's a higher resolution stream to watch, and then I'm participating. I'm okay. Not what I had in
Like-
mind, but okay.
Sounds like
I
a
think it's the first 10 people to click on the link will get in the live thing.
Yep.
And then if you join after that, you're put as a viewer. And then you have to re-click the link when someone leaves in order to get in.
Oh, right.
That's when like
So
I left and I clicked back in and I jumped back on because no one had clicked on it.
So I'm one of the lucky 10.
Yeah.
Accidentally lucky.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Take care, Travis.
thanks everybody. Had a really good day today. Keep on hacking.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day,
Goodbye.
everyone. Good evening to the ones in Europe.
Thank you.